I'm Allison McBain, and I'm the author behind Author vs. AI. If you'd like to learn more, please follow along at my website, authorversai.com. In this video, I'm sharing tips and tricks about how I'm writing a book a week and how you can do it too. The topic this week is how to craft a compelling opening line or an opening paragraph for your book. The most important sentences in the entire book are the first and last lines, so it's important to get those right. That's not to say you can't rewrite the beginning later after you've finished your first draft, but by the time you turn in your final draft to an agent or publisher, those first and last paragraphs of your book should really shine. Here are 3 ways that I like to tackle book openings to capture the reader's attention. Sometimes I use 1 or 2 of these, and sometimes all 3. Number 1, character. Establishing character with an emotional or sympathetic opening, or sometimes with humor. Number 2, imagery. Creating a vivid image that pulls you right into the story or turns out to be something immediately relatable to the reader. Or number 3, action. Starting with a bang that drops you right into the story so you can take off running along with the characters. For my Author vs. AI project, let me walk you through some examples from my first 2 books so you can see how I employed these techniques to create intriguing first lines and first paragraphs. First up is my YA horror book, The Ink Collector, and here are the opening lines. No one can leave me when the sky is so blue. Jagged seconds flash by. I watch the policeman's head bob closer to shore, one arm around Maddie. Without him towing her through the water, she would sink. She is crucified, arms spread out, legs trailing behind her like a fish's tail. In this one, you know something terrible has happened with the words leave me and crucified, and how Maddie is being towed through the water. You want to find out what happened and why and how Maddie is related to the main character. This opening uses emotion and action to drop you right into the story. Next up is my fantasy caper book, Cheaper by the Scoundrel. Here's what I wrote. Grasshoppers danced and sang all summer. Ants worked hard. However, contrary to the fable, both of them tended to enjoy the same lifespan, which is about 2 to 3 months. Unless you were the queen of an ant colony, you probably weren't going to see your way through the winter no matter what. Stheno hated ants. They got into everything and were small enough to be beneath her daily notice, but large enough to be irritating. She was especially pissed when she came home from her 3rd day in a row working a double shift at her job and discovered that ants had found their way into a wheel of cheese forgotten on the kitchen table. They were having a party, and she was pretty sure she hadn't invited them. In this one, you're given something that is easily identifiable, Aesop's tale of the grasshopper and the ant. And then it gets twisted because the main character hates ants and doesn't want to be like the goody two-shoes tale of the hard worker who plans ahead. And P.S. This might or might not be biographical on my part. I am not a fan of ants. I don't mind watching the movie Arachnophobia, but if there was a movie about ants, then count me out. So as you can see, the most important aspect of writing an opening is to not give it all away. Don't info dump. Give the reader breadcrumbs to follow so that the mystery of what's going on will draw them into the story. If you hit the reader with a huge block of info about your world or your character, then they have no reason to read on. They already know everything they need to know. But if you tantalize them with a bit here and a bit there, they keep turning the page to find out what happens next. So, hope these tips help with crafting your own stellar opening to your novel. If you have any comments or questions, please reach out to me in the chat. Happy writing!